Season 3, Episode 2 of House of the Dragon gave us a cliffhanger worthy of a season finale. Kind of seems like it was designed to be one. Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Corey, that's Shane, and this is our breakdown and review of Season 3, Episode 2 of House of the Dragon. Like and subscribe, spoilers ahead, and let's get right into this thing. So, Shane, the thing that everyone is going to be talking about at the end of this episode is the fall of King's Landing. So, Rhaenyra, in her grief over Jace, gets word that Aemond has left. King's Landing is wide open. She gets on a dragon with Daemon, and two of the bastards give her some defense on the side. They make their way into King's Landing. They sack the Red Keep. They kill a handful of people along the way. Rhaenyra is about to take the throne. Some folks show up. Some more folks show up. There's a little double twist kind of thing that happens there.
Yeah.
But Rhaenyra has to kill someone to take over the throne. Aegon's fled the city. So it ends up being Otto Hightower. She cuts his head off. She takes the throne. She's very sad. She's crying. In comes Alicent, sees her dead father and her maybe sort of best friend slash lover taking the Iron Throne. The music swells to a massive crescendo, and we cut to black and have to wait 2 years until we find out what's next, right?
That's the good version of the world that we live in, but we're stuck in the bad version.
That's right. So we get to find out what happens next week.
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't. There's no way that this wasn't planned on being the season 2 finale.
Yeah, they ran out of budget or writer's strike or something like that, and just chopped the last 2 episodes off of season 2 and then put it as the first 2 episodes in this season, which is detrimental to season 2 and 3, I would say. Like, the drama in this was great, but I feel a little bit cheated that that's not a season finale. I mean, the medium of television is built around these big season finales, and then you have to wait the delayed gratification. And we're just going to find out what happens next week. And so I feel like it is sort of detrimental. It's like when you watch Lost nowadays, you're like, it just doesn't match the feeling of in the moment where everyone would discuss that show every single week. And then, at the end of the season 3 finale, it was, we have to go back to the island and you find out that, oh my gosh, it was a flash forward the whole time. And then you have to wait multiple years to find out what that means. And now you can just hit the next episode and whatever, you find out.
I was talking to a friend the other week because he's showing someone Breaking Bad for the first time. And halfway through the final season of Breaking Bad, there's a pivotal moment where one character finds out who Walter White really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're watching it in like a binge on Netflix, and they get to just go right to the next episode. When in real time, after that episode, it was a mid-season break. They took an entire year off.
Yeah.
And you had to sit with that and you had to stew in it. And people like theorized on stuff. And I feel like that probably won't end up happening with this. But either way, I thought this was very well executed. I thought the drama was very good. And it looked great. And I was curious to see if you felt the same.
I think it is a massive improvement over the last episode, which neither of us liked. It apparently got very high ratings on IMDb and everything.
Not from us.
We were not among the many that enjoyed that episode. But I think this episode, for the most part, looked significantly better. They learned how to stop down a camera lens, so it's not just shot wide open the entire time. I thought it was a much better involvement of all of the different characters in the ensemble cast. Having Matt Smith back in that role just gives an energy to this show that was missing through even in season 2, because they didn't really give him much to do. But having him back interacting with all the other characters is such a relief and makes this show so much better. I do
it's
think
amazing that when you get the guy who's top billed on the show, like when you watch the credits, Matt Smith's name is the first one that pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking that when he's actually on the show's better.
Yeah, no, it's a significant improvement. I do think the Lord Corlys stuff was by far the ugliest part of the show. I think they shot that on the volume and it was very obvious and gray and just none of that stuff looked great, but the rest looked very good.
Mm-hmm.
My only real issue with the show is that it still has a bit of an obvious script problem where they're still exclaiming the things. So like, Daemon reads the scroll and, you know that it's Jace has, died. And then the guy across from him is like, is something wrong? It's like, come on, we don't need.
The Prince Regent has died.
Yes, it's
No
just
shit.
you have to tell the audience every single thing that's happening,
Yeah.
and I feel like the show could get away with being a lot more subtle.
Netflixification, right? That's the word that we've been
Exactly.
using
Yep.
for all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting. But everything else with Jace dying, I thought was done very well. I thought
Yeah.
that Emma Darcy did a great job showing Rhaenyra's grief
Mhm.
when they wheeled him in, and she's talking to him like he's still alive, and like nobody else is in the room, and
Yeah.
the tears, and like the wanting to hit him but stopping like just before they did, and everything. All that's very good. And I
Yep.
thought the nice thing about the way that that was structured was when Rhaenyra is at the peak of her grief is when the door of opportunity swings open for
Yeah.
her to go to King's
Uh-huh.
Landing, and that creates a very dramatic situation where there's a lot going on in here for her. She's finally getting the thing that she wants, but at what cost?
At
All of
what
her
cost?
kids are
Yeah.
dead. She had to kill Alicent's, dad. There's a whole lot going on here that's
Good
pretty
old
tricky, and
Thanos
it's
meme.
yeah.
What did it cost?
What did it cost?
Everything.
Everything. It's very Game of Thronesy,
Yeah.
and that's why I watch this show.
Yeah.
I'm in it for the melodrama and
Mhm.
much less for the action. And this episode had way more of that than the premiere did. So
Yeah, the ending with the interpersonal drama between Alicent and Rhaenyra
mhm.
is sort of the core of the show, right? And
Yes,
so
yeah,
ending on a
absolutely.
moment where it's like they have this high point at the end of the last season, and now they're right back at a low.
Hmm.
Is murdered her father.
Yep.
That's great. Put
Yeah.
opposing people against each other, and good things happen in shows. Imagine.
Yeah. And there was a great shot towards the end where it was his head on the ground, and then it was a puddle of his blood,
And the
and in the
reflection.
reflection of the
Yeah.
puddle was her taking the throne. And I was just like, it's a little on the nose
Yeah.
with the metaphor, but
Yeah.
I dug it anyway because it looked cool.
Hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised with this episode because I was very nervous after last week
Yep.
about where things were going. But any other thoughts on that side of things before we jump into the rest of what
No,
happened
I,
here?
I mean, as much as I am a little bit annoyed that it's not the season finale, I'm very excited to see what happens next. And that's the first time in a while on this show where I've been very excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, I agree. So, uh, getting into some of the other plot threads that came through here, I think the next most interesting one is that Aemond went to Harrenhal,
Hmm.
and he went there and he took out all of the Strongs. Vhagar torched half of the castle. It's a good thing those castles are made of brick and stone, or else Harrenhal
That
wouldn't be there anymore.
that castle has a knack for just getting dragon fire.
Just completely torched, yeah. But as he's killing Simon Strong and his people, he takes a dagger in what seems to be a not so great place, and he starts to bleed out a little bit, and he falls down in front of Alice Rivers, who is the witch that hung out with Damon all season. I joked to my lady as soon as this happened. I was like, "Is Aemon going to stay here all season and just have like a spooky
I thought the
retread of
same
season two
thing.
with
I
with
thought the
Damon?"
same thing.
But right at the beginning of the episode, right before Damon left to go back to Dragonstone, he pissed off Alice Rivers, and that means that she's probably going to want some revenge, which
Yeah.
means witchcraft and wizardry probably going to happen here to help Aemon come back to life. We were
It
so
would
close
be
to getting rid of
very
him,
funny if he stayed there the rest of the season
dude.
and just it would be
I will
poetic.
die of laughter
It's
if that
like
happens.
poetry, they rhyme.
Thanks, George. Anyway, so yeah, I think that was the second most interesting thing that
Mhm.
happened in the episode, and I don't know what they're gonna do to get back at Damon, but I imagine it's probably not gonna end well for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to like even talk about any of the other threads because the big one ended the
I
episode.
know,
But
yeah.
this is setting up the next era of the storytelling, right?
Mhm.
Whereas the last one was resetting the chessboard. It's like she won, but we all know she didn't win.
Right. It's almost like this was a season finale. Okay, so what else happened here? Rhaena, who was riding on Sheep Stealer, she went to the Vale to seek asylum, and she went and talked to one of the errands because she's afraid to go back to Dragonstone because she knows that Rhaenyra is not going to be very happy with her. Um, the lady at the Vale's like, "Get the hell out of my face." She says, "Hey, you need a dragon." So it seems like there might be something happening there. I'm not terribly invested in whatever happens there, but it's a thing that's happening on the show. So thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I was very similar where it's not super compelling, but I know that it's there for a good reason. I'm sure they have a through line going through the rest of the season in this location, so we'll see. Although it did kind of connect because Rhaenyra was told that Sheep Stealer kind of killed Jace, right?
And
So
had a rider.
right, and
Yeah.
so if that is associated with the Vale, then maybe it's going to set up conflict there.
Yeah, yeah, could.
It's gonna be
Uh,
another one of those misunderstanding things that this show is
yeah,
based around, where
the
it's like, "Wait,
audience knows
you
what's
have the
going
dragon
on.
that killed my son," and
Yeah.
yeah,
No one on the show knows what's happening, but we know, right?
yeah.
The audience is in on the
Everyone just looks
clues.
very dumb.
Yeah, extremely dumb. Aegon and Mr. Foot Fetish, Larys Strong, they're still on the run. Aegon has decided that he wants to go to Rook's Rest to meet up with Sir Criston, even though it is apparently a long and perilous journey, according to Larys. Uh, I'm curious to see what happens when Aegon and Criston and those folks all kind of regroup, because Criston's group is now going to go to Harrenhal because they saw
Yep,
Vhagar fly over.
yep.
Aegon is going to go to Criston, but Aegon and Aemond are kind of at odds because Aemond tried to have Aegon killed at Rook's Rest in the last season. So I don't know if they're going to all kind of join forces to try to go after Rhaenyra, or if they're all just going to end up killing each other because they think they're the heir to the throne.
I am interested to see where that goes. I do kind of dig this like buddy cop thing between Aegon and Larys. Like
Yeah.
it kind of works for me, and like there's a little bit of comic relief there. It's almost like a series of unfortunate events for them. So I was enjoying that. Like in a show that's so dour and dark and depressing, like it's nice to have a little bit of humor in there.
Yeah, you need a little bit of levity, or else
Yeah,
it's just misery and depression and murder the whole
yeah,
time. So,
yeah,
but yeah, so we'll see what happens with Aegon. I think the actor who plays Aegon is really good
yeah. He's
and
great.
has been maybe a little bit underutilized so far this season. So I'm hoping that they have a through line for him there.
Hmm.
And then the last big thing that happened here is there's a search for Lord Corlys after the Battle of the Gullet. He's found by Bela and his two bastards, and he gives uh, gosh, which bastard was it? Was it Adam that he gives the his
I
last
do
name
not
to?
know anyone's names except the main
Well,
characters. This is
there's
probably
two
everyone's gonna shut
bastards.
the review off right now.
Yeah, drop us a comment below if you know their names, because we don't, and we're bad at paying attention to the least interesting thing on the show. But he gives the one bastard his last name, and the other one who wrote it on the dragon and actually found him gets jack shit. So that was certainly something. I got a little nervous that they were going to tease some romantic tension between the one who fought with him and
Mm.
his his daughter or niece, I guess it is. But this show has not been afraid of incest in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
So
you never know anymore, right? There's no boundaries anymore, so anything can happen.
yeah. One other thing I did want to talk about. We're 2 episodes in, and two different people have tried to kiss Allison, and I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be a different person every episode this season that tries to make out with her. Poor Olivia Cook for having to get that close to that many men that I'm sure she probably didn't want to. But uh, I mean, after this one, like you said, it kind of feels like they've cleared the board and
Mhm.
things are going to go in a new direction. So, any other thoughts about this episode, or any predictions for where you think the rest of the season might go?
No, I think it's interesting just in general that this was so heavily structured like a finale. Like every
Yeah.
Game of Thrones season had the penultimate episode with some big, massive battle. And then the next episode is we go to every single character and every single thread
Hmm.
and put them on the journey for
Yep.
the next season. And then we cut. And this is
Yep.
what this episode did,
Hmm.
except it's episode 2. So it's going to feel really weird. I wonder if the next episode will feel more like a season premiere where like
Yeah.
we see the evolution of each of those threads but nothing really happens. It's really just setting the season up, And then we're halfway through the season.
Yeah,
So,
because it's only 8 episodes this year. So
yeah.
these first 2 that were kind of the bookend of the second season only leaves us with 6 episodes of what was really intended for the third. So, it'll certainly be interesting, but, I anticipate, uh, probably in the next episode, Alicent is not gonna have a very good time.
She never has a
That's my
good time.
prediction.
Nobody has a good time,
Yeah,
except
but
Larry's. I think Larry's is having a great time.
particularly after this episode and seeing her father's head not connected to his
Yes.
body. That's and at the hand of her best friend is going to
Yep.
be it's going to be interesting. There's some good drama set up there. There's a changing of the guard, which is interesting because I haven't read these books, but I was under the impression that no woman has ever taken the throne, but it seems like clearly she has. So are they going to rule it like an unofficial taking of the throne, or is it not on the record books, or what are they going to do to explain that? Because the whole idea in the main Game of Thrones show is that Daenerys is going to be the first person to take the throne that's not a man, right? So what's the loophole they're going to do here?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically she was the first woman in the lore to take the throne. But then of course there were, you know, queens in the future. But yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like it's like poetry. It rhymes. I'm gonna say that for a second time. Getting to Daenerys and, you know, taking the throne again. It is interesting that, like, maybe, I don't know if this show does this, but maybe they're making a statement on, well, this is why we don't put women in charge. And then, like, that's why it persists later into Game of
Mhm.
Thrones and they're anti Daenerys because, well, we saw what happened last time. We're not going to
Yeah.
do that again, or something like that.
And
So
they
I
share a
wonder if,
bloodline. They're all
right,
Targaryens. Yeah.
right. So I wonder if that's why the anti-feminism exists in the universe despite the story we're watching today.
Yeah. I thought it was a darkly funny visual gag when she was like walking to the throne and then all of a sudden just like a human shield of men popped up to
Yeah.
block it at the
Yep.
last
Yep.
minute. I was just like,
Yep.
oh God, that hits too hard.
Yeah.
That's too close.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Well, any other thoughts on this episode before we take this review home?
No, I would just say it's very refreshing. I was very worried after last week's episode, and
Me
this
too.
kind of regained my faith.
Yes, very good. I feel the same way, and that is a great place for us to wrap this one up. So that's going to do it for this video. We would love to hear from you. Were you nervous from last week's episode, and then had your faith restored in House of the Dragon after the season 2 finale / second episode of season 3? Drop us those comments below. Let us know what you think. We'll answer every one that comes through. Please like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you like movie and TV reviews. Make sure to check out some of our older videos. We talked about Disclosure Day. We talked about Toy Story 5. We talked about, oh God, what was the last one that we
Supergirl.
just Supergirl? That's the one. How could I forget that after all the discourse?
The internet's
We
not
are
talking about that one at all.
no, no one. We're talking about Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon every week for the next 6 or 7 weeks, and then we also have reviews lined up for the Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day coming in July. So be on the lookout for all of those things and so much more. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.